thousands of people at that rally in Pennsylvania for Donald Trump's campaign stop, and that includes one Canadian man who's joining me now, James Westman. He's a Canadian journalist, documentary filmmaker. He was there to make a film about political division in the United States and mistrust that Americans have in their system. James, good to have you with us today, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
What was it like? Walk us through what happened.
So I was just outside of the security perimeter. There's always an inner security perimeter that you have to go through, make sure that you don't have a gun when the gunshots did go off. So I didn't actually, that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. So I moved towards the gunshots and was able to capture these images of everyone exiting the rally. You see some people walking, but some people running. People were crying. Eventually, the crowd did calm down, and sort of remarkably so. But it was quite tense for the first 15, 20 minutes because we did not know if there was a second shooter. We did not know really anything that had happened. Some people didn't know if Trump was still alive or not. So it was quite a confusing period for the first 20 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, this footage is from you. You shot this on an iPhone. It's going to be part of the documentary you're putting together about, you know, the U.S. political system as well. And we appreciate you sharing this footage with us here at CTV News. You heard the gunshots, and it sounded like pop, 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 maybe fireworks or something initially. What went through your mind, James, when you heard that?
When I heard the gunshots, exactly like you say, they sounded like fireworks. And my first thought was, that can't be. There's no way they'd allow fireworks in. There's no one setting off fireworks. These must be gunshots. And then, of course, as soon as I saw people running, I realized what had happened. I didn't know in this moment, I didn't know that the shots had been at the former president and that people in the bleachers had been killed. I actually thought they might have been fired into the crowd. And I thought even more people might have actually been hurt. So, you know, as tragic as what happened was, it seemed as if something even worse might have happened in that moment.
Yeah, we're going to show a map of the area. You know, you were there just to give our viewers across the country a sense of how this all played out here. So we're at the Butler Farm. It's in Pennsylvania, in a rural part of Pennsylvania, which is, you know, Trump country, as you know. We've got the shooter location about 150 meters from the Trump stage, how he was evacuated out of there, and there was a counter sniper team, and that was the team that would eventually take out the shooter after he was able to fire off at least 8 rounds, maybe more, trying to determine the exact number that happened. So, you know, and I know, you know, that time can slow down in situations like this, and things can become very strange in terms of, you know, you're trying to figure out, number one, what is going on? Number two, am I safe? Are the people around me safe? But as a journalist and a documentary filmmaker, you know, you went toward the action to try to see what was going on.
That's right. And I talked to a former Pennsylvania congressional candidate, and he was saying that he was trying to encourage as many people as possible to move away because, again, we didn't know if there was going to be a second shooter. But I was able to, you know, capture former President Trump's helicopter landing, this bomb squad truck you see here, and the scenes of the aftermath, and then talk to Trump supporters as well, and get their reactions to what had happened, and also, you know, capture people already forming conspiracy theories about what had gone on.
Yeah, so tell me about some of those interviews, you know, because obviously it was very fresh, it's immediate, people have just witnessed what's gone on, and what were they saying to you?
So at first, some people were saying it's too early to say. But other folks were immediately connecting this to former President Barack Obama, saying, you know, he's behind everything, you know, without evidence. Another, a biker for Trump I spoke to said he had seen on Facebook that this was Antifa. So these conspiracy theories were spreading very quickly, and I have little doubt now that there's actually, you know, they're far more widespread than they were 2 days ago.
Yeah, and we're just showing the helicopter. So this was the medevac, correct, that came in to try and help out?
That's right. Yeah, this was about I would say 10 minutes after the shots were fired.
You know, I'm curious, you know, as an eyewitness to history, really, you know, how you think this was all handled. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, there were thousands of people. It was a huge rally. You have been to a number of Trump rallies. I believe this is like your fifth one as you're putting together this documentary. What did you take away from what happened?
Well, I don't want to speculate, but one thing that Trump supporters were bringing up to me was this water tower. We could all clearly see this water tower. Initially, people thought that that's where the shooter had come from. I didn't learn until later when I got back to my hotel that he had been on top of this building. But this water tower was quite tall, so it's hard to imagine that if the Secret Service had been on top of this water tower, that they wouldn't have seen the shooter climbing up onto that building. It would have given them a great sort of panoramic view of the area. I haven't had the time to look into it, so I don't want to make any declarative statements about it, but it's very strange if they weren't on top of that tower.
It had to be stunning, too, to be there and realize, you know, as the time went on, what exactly here had happened. You know, people just kind of stunned that somebody of sort of Trump's stature, you know, and his, you know, the fact that he is on track to become the next president again, that this kind of major security failure could have actually happened. But, you know, we know, and you've been to many of these, and I've been to political rallies in the past, too. I mean, things can be very chaotic. People are screened, there's security and whatnot. But, you know, it's hard to keep control of such a huge open-air venue as well.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's interesting, too, when I think about, you know, looking at some of the footage that you shared with us, too, sort of like, you know, as you're interviewing these people, it's part of a larger documentary that you're putting together, James, which is about, you know, people mistrusting the system here. And there you are, and there's an assassination attempt on the guy that they're all there to support, Donald Trump. And you know, the takeaway for you as a filmmaker, as now this is going to be a big part of your eventual film, no doubt.
Certainly, and I think this is going to, you know, be election denialism on steroids, in the sense that a lot of the supporters I was talking to felt that this now locked in Trump's victory. He is ahead in the polls, but in a lot of states, it's still within the margin of error, and especially in the swing states like Pennsylvania. But everyone I spoke to before the shots even went off, none of them believe Biden won the 2020 election, and they don't believe that the Democrats can win this election, and this is going to make that even worse.
And you're planning to attend more Trump rallies if the opportunity arises, James, as you put this film together?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, thanks so much for taking the time for connecting with us here at CTV News to share your story. It's great to see you and get you on the program and share what happened.
Thanks so much. Take care.
James Westman joining us from Toronto. He's a journalist, documentary filmmaker, putting together a film all about political mistrust in the U.S. system. And he was a witness to what happened in Pennsylvania on Saturday with Donald Trump.